Hello kiddos. I put together this quick video because I was noticing as I read several of the descriptive essays, I was noticing some common trends. And so I wanted to put together this quick little video to show you more of what I'm looking for, some straight examples of what I'm looking for. I'm not seeing a lot of the senses being covered. Mainly we got the sight, what you see, but we're not getting touch, we're not getting taste or smell, we're not really getting the full experience out of it, and we're not putting the reader into the situation. You want the reader to be fully invested in the experience and feel like they're there experiencing it right along with you. So I picked a student piece, and I used their first two paragraphs, and then I'll show you how I revised it. So on our amazing trip to Utah, we did many activities, but the most memorable was indoor skydiving at the Solomon Center. The Solomon Center is in Ogden, Utah. iFly is the place where we went. All it is a gigantic wind tunnel that simulates actual skydiving. Before we got started, we had to put on these funky outfits that looked like a bunch of spacemen. For safety, we also had to put on helmets and goggles. The last piece of equipment we had to put on were neon orange colored earplugs. We wore these so wind wouldn't blast into our precious little ears. Everyone looked very goofy with all of this crazy equipment on. Once everyone had all of their gear on, we were to go on a ride of our lifetimes. Okay, so just some things that I wanted to comment on here. Amazing's not a bad choice of words, but not really descriptive. Many is not particularly descriptive, and it is most memorable. But you don't want to necessarily tell us it's the most memorable. I want to see your reactions to show us how memorable it was. And so this particular sentence is not very engaging. It's too factual. Too not factual because you want it to be true, but too formal and not putting us into the moment. And then also things like telling us it's the Solomon Center could be worked in later, not particularly important at this point. I don't see the name of the company you can work in later, and I'll show you how I did that. And to telling us what immediately that you were in a giant wind tunnel that simulates actual skydiving. Don't jump to that right away. Make the reader wonder a little bit. That's what I wanted to. And then in the second paragraph, things like funky and crazy. These are words that don't have a lot of meaning. And so my definition of funky, my definition of crazy may be different from the next person's, and we want words that really have some punch behind them. But it's a good attempt. I'm not, the reason I chose this one is because it wasn't bad. It was a good start. It was in the right direction. The person certainly put effort in to try to get some good descriptive words in there. But then I wanted to show you, I spent about 20 minutes writing my introductory paragraph. Now, I've never been indoor skydiving, so some of my details may be a slight bit inaccurate because of that, but I did the best I could given the topic, and I'll read you what I wrote and kind of give you my thought process behind what I wrote. Okay, so here's what I wrote. My hair whipped across my cheek, fluttering into my gapped mouth as I screamed. My shrieks danced off my tongue, only to be squashed by the chilly wind pelting my face. I had to thrust my body excitedly into the wind tunnel. Yes, a wind tunnel. Air, blowing against my stomach at 80 miles per hour, prevented my free fall to the padded floor below. I dangled and flapped like a sheet dropped onto a clothesline until I locked my joints. I inhaled deeply, relaxed my muscles, and began to conduct a symphony of flips, just as my sister had done before me. My confidence grew, my giggles hastened. I was a bird of flight. Then the light before me switched to yellow. My time was shortening. Begrudgingly I prepared to land, and then my turn was over. My wings were being clipped. The thin loose fabric of my I Fly Utah bodysuit had entwined me. Untwisting it from my biceps, I scanned to find the door. Back to reality, but still gliding, I bounded through the door to my family. I ripped off my goggles and bellowed, "That was awesome!" So, you could see, I hope you could see that is a much more engaging, much more experienced, put you in the experience form of writing. I wanted to give you some feelings, so, my hair whipped across my cheek, fluttering into my gapped mouth. I use those words to tell you that one, wind was coming across my face for some reason, and that my mouth was wide open, screaming. But I didn't want you to think I was scared, so my shrieks danced. I chose the word danced to signify that I was excited and not afraid. And then I put squashed by the chilly wind pelting my face to show you that even though I was screaming, you couldn't really hear it because of something. And then you find out the next sentence that I had just been thrust, not against my will, excitedly into a wind tunnel. And then I reiterated, yes, a wind tunnel. And the air was blowing against my stomach, and I just guessed 80 miles an hour. I don't know what that is, but the writer of this may know, since they had actually done this. Prevented my free fall to the padded floor below. So now you're realizing I'm inside something. I'm not outdoors, and there's a floor below me. I dangled and flapped like a sheet dropped onto a clothesline. I wanted to work in a simile because, that's always good. So that people can kind of picture what that looks like. And then I locked my joints. I inhaled deeply, relaxed my muscles. I wanted to use the word relaxed in there because I wanted you to see that I was enjoying the experience, and that I was able to gain some confidence with this. And so I began to conduct a symphony of flips. I wanted to kind of get the artistic feel of someone doing flips. Later in the story, the author of this had talked about her sister going just before her, and so I wanted to work that in. So I said, just as my sister had done before me. My confidence grew. My giggles hastened. That means I wanted to show that I was getting more and more excited. And my sentences there are short to show you excitement, speed, to speed up the pace of the paragraph. I was a bird of flight. Then, now my sentences are getting a slight bit longer because I wanted to show you that things are slowing down now. The light before me switched to yellow. That was just a guess. I don't know how they notify you they're getting ready to your time's getting ready to run out. So I just guessed there actually, but then I said my time was shortening begrudgingly because I'm clearly not happy to end this fun that I was having. I prepared to land, and then my turn was over. And my wings were clipped. Now you could say that a lot of different ways. I chose a shorter sentence to really hit home, but you could say I felt like a bird that had his wings clipped or something like that. Then the author wanted to work in what the suits looked like, and you can do a little bit more of this in the next paragraph, but I wanted to work it into the opening paragraph. The thin, loose fabric. I described the fabric. I probably could have even went further into the description, but I wasn't quite sure what kind of suits they wear necessarily. But then I worked the name of the company into it, and I added Utah so you could understand that it was in Utah. I said the thin loose fabric of my I Fly Utah bodysuit had entwined me. Untwisting it from my biceps, I scanned to find the door. So I want to just show you that the person, me I guess in this case, would have to adjust the suit after this experience, and then had to go back to reality. But I was still excited, so back to reality. But still gliding, I bounded through the door. I chose the word bounded specifically to show that I was excited as I went through the door. And I also included that I was going to see my family. And then I ripped off my goggles. I could have said helmet, I could have said earplugs, or I could have said all, and worked those in. I just chose goggles because I wanted it to get to the final sentence. And bellowed. Chose the word bellowed because I wanted it to show excitement. I didn't just say said or screamed. I've already used screamed, so I didn't want to use screamed again. I didn't want to use shrieked because I've already used shrieked again. So I chose bellowed, and then my exclamation was "that was awesome," to show that the experience I just had was awesome. Then my next paragraph would go a little bit more into where I'm at. And what you don't know is the author gets another chance in the wind tunnel, and so she could use a transition paragraph or two telling us where this happened, or what. Maybe use some dialogue between the family members to push us forward and get us information by what the characters are saying, and then wrap it back up with another experience into the wind chamber, and then I would personally end. In the original author wanted this to come across as one of the highlight experiences of her life, and so I would end this as the person being still in the wind tunnel and having some kind of facial expression, experience, screaming something, or something to show that this is the experience of a lifetime for her. So that is an example of a good opening descriptive paragraph. I hope you can see the differences and apply this sort of details to your writing. So enjoy.